Hey, great morning, guys. It's Dr. Cunningham here, and I'd like to share very quickly that I think people are actually starting to understand my YouTube channel and the purpose and the reason for my YouTube channel. Life Lessons with Dr. Cunningham, and my motto for that particular channel or podcast is, excuse me, that who you are matters more than what you do. And the reason why I speak to that is that I've met so many different types of people that have been in different walks of life, had a lot of different careers, and, a lot of different ranges with regards to the money they make, places they live, could be in the most affluent communities. But ultimately, it was who they were as a person that really stuck with me, that really showed me how great of a person they were, their growth areas as a person. The reason why I say that, and even focusing on relationship, because relationships have always mattered to me ever since I was young. I'm very family orientated. And so to work with people that have these great careers and are doing very well, and I'm career orientated myself, but it causes me to be very mindful of how I balance career and focusing on career, but then also still having time for family. Because I know, and I've worked with individuals that have been excellent at their career, was able to bring home the bacon, and if they had to, they would know how to cook it. But ultimately, they were lacking the connection that they wanted at home. So they could go to work and be the star at work, or, literally be the CEO that everyone loves. And they would go home and find themselves in a cold bed with their spouse right beside them, or interacting with their children in a way that felt like there was no depth, because of the fact that they spent more time and focus on their colleagues and their career opportunities than they did making sure that they showed up for their children's games and stuff like that. So I just noticed that affluence and accomplishment, I think, is excellent. I mean, and that should be celebrated and honored. So I want to make sure I say that. At the same time, there's something to be said about the balance of what it means to have a great work life as well as a quality home life. Because I believe that's where the balance is. And a lot of people miss that balance because they're so focused on the rat race and working to be the best. And when I say the rat race, that's kind of, the American dream ideal that people run after, and they will spend as many hours as necessary to accomplish in order to make more money, in order to have a bigger house, in order to have the white picket fence, in order to have the best cars. And so that's the reason why people even put so much time and effort into being able to focus on particular careers, and especially depending on where people are from, because they see the opportunities of the amounts of money that they can make. When in reality, from my perspective, if someone is a teacher for a first grade classroom, it's just as important as someone who is the star quarterback in the NFL. What makes it different is the amounts of money that they make, which means that they have access to more opportunity. But then that also means that, again, their life is under a microscope, so to speak. But then I've met very nice teachers, and I've also met very mean teachers. But I've also met people that were in the NFL quite nice, but then some of them not so nice. So at the end of the day, what matters more? Is it about what's in their bank account? Or is it about their character? Is it about who they are as a person? How they make you feel? Whether they are genuine or not? Whether they actually care about humanity? Whether they actually care about showing up as just a kind-hearted person, as a person who loves something more than just themselves. It's just a question, and really is the heart of why I started Life Lessons with Dr. Cunningham, and who you are mattering more than what you do. Because I've also met a lot of great people in my own profession. Some of them great, very kind, and live every word that they say. And then some of them, again, I wouldn't necessarily want to go to a dinner party with them, but I respect what they've accomplished. So again, when someone has accomplished something, we'll always respect that. And I think that should always be honored publicly and behind the closed doors. But what I'm saying is that sometimes there are people that can show up publicly, but behind the closed doors, who they are doesn't match what they're showing publicly. And so my hope is that life lessons will always highlight what we can do to bring balance to our lives, because the reality is that character is, and ever since I was young, this is what I was taught, that who you are behind the door, who you are around the door, or who you are in front of the door, that person should match all the places and spaces. Now, it doesn't mean that you might not change your vernacular depending upon who you're speaking to, but the heart of what you're saying, the message itself, should remain consistent, because then that's integral. That's Norja 101. That's foundational principles from my perspective. So there are a lot of people that can be in different careers, and even particular career sets, and even when you get to certain places and spaces, there's a different level of energy that's required of you. So that can bring different levels of stress, and people deal with stress differently. At the same time, from my perspective, there are ways of managing it, managing stress, reducing stress, and then still being able to show up as oneself. Because, again, like I was taught, and I do stand by it, is that when a person is put under levels of stress that are intense, then at some point you will see who they really are. And so ultimately my hope is that people will focus more on who a person is. Focus on not just personality, but at our core, who we are. Are we an expression of kindness? Are we an expression of light? If we have a belief system, are we an expression of that belief system? And what is your belief system? And what is it that you focus on as far as principles within your belief system? And then how do you show up every single day as an expression of what you say is your value system and your belief system? Because it's true, people will remember how we make them feel more than anything else. At the same time, sometimes we will have to stand for what we believe, even if no one else in the room will stand for it. And are we willing to, in order to remain true to who we are at our core? Or will people decide or choose to compromise it for the sake of being able to remain in a room for a few dollar signs? It's just a few questions. But this really is the heart of Life Lessons with Dr. Cunningham. Who you are matters more than what you do. I hope you all have a great day. And I hope we also continue to think about who we are and to live, learn, and grow together to be better people. Not just for our careers, but just for the sake of living a great quality of life. Y'all have a great one.